This was supposed to be normal until it wasn't. What happens when a carefully produced late-night conversation slips out of its lane? Live, unscripted, and irreversible. The red light clicks on. Applause swells, then fades into that familiar studio hush where anything can happen. The desk gleams. The mug sits just so. Cameras lock focus. And somewhere behind the curtains, a producer mouths 30 seconds with two fingers raised. Nobody in that room knows yet that they're about to witness a moment that will fracture timelines, dominate headlines, and leave viewers arguing long after the credits roll. Because tonight isn't just another interview. Tonight is the night Meghan Markle walks onto Bill Maher's set and walks off it. You can feel it before it happens. That thin electric buzz in the air, the kind that makes stage hands stop moving and audience members shift in their seats. The kind that tells you this isn't going to land the way it was rehearsed. This was supposed to be a normal segment. Polite, controlled. Maybe tense, but contained. Until it wasn't. Until a pause lasted 1 second. Too long. Until a question landed sharper than expected. Until authority met composure, and neither blinked. And live television forgot how to breathe. This was supposed to be normal until it wasn't. What happens when a conversation designed to be controlled slips just far enough off script that no one can pull it back? The red light above the main camera clicks on, steady and unforgiving. And the applause sign blinks once, twice, then goes dark. The room settles into that specific kind of silence only live television creates. The kind that isn't quiet, just waiting. You can hear the air conditioning hum. You can hear someone in the front row clear their. Meghan Markle enters the conversation. Throat. Somewhere behind the set, a producer whispers into a headset. Already half worried, already alert. Bill Maher sits at his desk like he always does, relaxed, anchored, one elbow resting comfortably, card stacked. Just so, his coffee mug placed with the muscle memory of a man who's done this thousands of times. He doesn't rush. He never does. Control is his currency, and he spends it sparingly. Across from him, Meghan Markle finishes adjusting in her chair. The movement is subtle, precise. Jacket smooth, ankles crossed, spine straight. She isn't stiff, but she's alert, like someone aware that every camera angle carries meaning. Her expression is calm, composed, practiced, but not vacant. Her eyes move once around the studio, not scanning, not searching, just registering the room as it is. The audience applauds again. Softer this time, unsure how enthusiastic they're supposed to be. Some are fans, some are skeptics, most are curious. Curiosity has weight in it. Presses down on the space between the two chairs. Bill turns toward her, half smiling, and nods. So he says, voice easy, conversational, almost lazy. You've been everywhere lately. It's a safe opening, a neutral line, the kind that lets the guest settle in, lets the show ease into rhythm. Meghan smiles back, small and controlled. I suppose That depends on who you ask. A ripple of laughter moves through the audience. Bill nods as if to say, fair enough. He glances briefly at the camera, then back to her. They talk. At first, it's smooth. The words come out clean, almost rehearsed without feeling scripted. Public life. Media attention. The difference between being talked about and being listened to. Meghan speaks in measured sentences, pauses. Intentionally, lets silence work for her, rather than filling it. Bill listens. With his head tilted slightly, eyes sharp, occasionally interjecting with a dry aside that earns a quick laugh. But beneath it, there's tension. Not hostility, awareness. Bill shifts forward just a few inches. It's a small movement, but in television language, it means engagement. Pressure. You talk a lot about voice, he says. About being heard. Meghan nods because silence has a cost. The pause after that sentence is longer than expected. The audience reacts late, like they weren't sure if it was a statement or a challenge. Bill smiles, but it's thinner now. Sure, he says. But there's also the cost of never shutting up. Some people laugh immediately, others don't. A few glance sideways, checking the temperature of the room. Meghan doesn't blink. She inhales slowly through her nose, then exhales just as carefully. Is that a question, she asks, voice even or a first signs of tension on set? Judgment. The room tightens. You can feel it. The laughter dies mid-breath. The band members freeze, hands hovering over instruments that won't be used. Bill raises his eyebrows slightly. Amused, but alert. It's an observation, he says. One a lot of people share. The cameras cut wide. Audience members lean forward now. Phones stay down, but hands tense ready. Everyone knows something just shifted, even if they don't know where it's going. Meghan folds her hands together in her lap. The gesture is calm, but it locks her posture into something firmer. People share a lot of things, she says. That doesn't make them true. The silence after that isn't comfortable. It stretches. Someone coughs. A producer murmurs something urgently into a headset. Bill leans back, crossing one leg over the other. He hasn't raised his voice. He hasn't lost control. That's the point. Authority doesn't need volume. You've positioned yourself, he says slowly, as a victim of power while holding more power than most people ever will. The words land heavy. Not explosive, heavy. Like a door closing quietly. Meghan's jaw tightens just slightly. Not anger. Calculation. Power without agency. She says, who's not power? This time, the pause is unmistakable. The audience doesn't know whether to clap. Some start. Two, then stop. The room seems to forget what reaction it's allowed to have. Bill watches her closely, and yet he says, "You're here on my show with a global platform." Meghan looks around the Studio, the lights, the cameras, the audience, the red light that hasn't blinked once since they started. She takes it all in like evidence. Yes, she says, and I didn't come here to be reduced. That sentence cuts, not because it's loud, but because it's final. You can almost hear the crew inhale at the same time. Bill sets his cards down neatly. So, what did you come for? He asks. She doesn't answer right away. She holds his gaze. 1 second, 2, 3. The audience shifts in their seats. The silence thickens like something is about to break through it. I came, Meghan says, finally, to speak, not to perform. There it is. Bill nods once. This is television. He replies evenly. Performance is the job. No insult, no shouting, just a line drawn with a ruler. Meghan's smile fades completely now. Then perhaps, she says, voice steady, this isn't the right stage. Bill tilts his head. You're the one who asked to be on it. A producer steps closer to the edge of the set. Hands raised, signaling wrap. Bill doesn't look. Meghan does, and then she stands. Not abruptly, not emotionally. Deliberately. The movement sends a visible jolt through the audience. Gasps scatter across the room like dropped glass. Bill looks up at her, surprised, but composed. Are you walking off? He asks. Meghan adjusts her jacket, smoothing the fabric once. I'm choosing not to stay where respect isn't mutual. Bill Maher's controversial remarks. Places his mug down carefully, aligning it with the edge of the desk. This isn't how conversations work, he says. Calm. Controlled, absolute. Meghan turns slightly, angling toward the nearest camera. It is, she says, when one side controls the microphone, the studio goes dead silent. No movement, no sound. Even the producer freezes. Bill exhales through his nose. Not angry. Decisive. Okay, he says. Then we're done. He looks past her toward the control room. Cut her mech. The words hit harder than any shout could. The audience reacts all at once. Gasps, murmurs, disbelief. Rolling through the seats. Meghan pauses. For half a second. Just enough time for the cameras to capture it. Just enough time for the moment to fossilize. Then she turns and walks off the set live. And in that silence, everyone realizes something irreversible just happened. The cameras don't cut right away. For a fraction of a second that feels longer than it is, the wide shot holds. Bill Maher sits alone at his desk. The empty chair across from him suddenly louder than any argument that just happened. The audience doesn't know what to do with their hands. Applause would feel wrong. Silence feels dangerous. Everyone is waiting for permission. Bill clears his throat. A small sound that echoes more than it should. Well, he says, forcing a thin smile that arrives a beat late. That was something. Normally, this is where the band would jump in. A symbol, a riff, something to reset the energy and tell everyone it's safe to laugh again, but the band doesn't move. The band leader glances off stage. Unsure. The cue never comes. The red light is still on. Bill shifts in his chair, crosses his legs, uncrosses them. He taps the desk once with his fingers. Then stills his hand as if he's just noticed the movement. Control. Always. Control. Sometimes, he adds carefully. Conversations end before you expect them to. A few people in the audience laugh, but it's scattered. Nervous. The laughter doesn't spread. It dies where it starts. Behind the cameras, producers are talking over each other. One voice cuts through the rest, low and sharp. We're late. Go to break now. The director finally calls it. The screen fades. The red light clicks off and the room exhales. Not relief, shock. People start talking all at once. Audience members lean toward each other, whispering, eyes wide. Some shake their heads. Some nod like they just saw exactly what they expected to see. A woman in the third row mouths the words. Did that really just happen? Backstage, the hallway feels narrower than usual. Meghan walks quickly, but not hurried. Her heels strike the floor with steady rhythm, not angry, not frantic. Her team trails behind her, one assistant glancing back toward the stage, as if expecting someone to come running after them. No one does. A producer steps forward, hands raised in a calming gesture. Meghan, can we? She stops, turns. Her expression is composed, but her eyes are bright focused. No, she says, not loudly, not rudely, just firmly. The producer nods, steps aside. In the green room, the door closes. The hum of the studio becomes muffled. Distant. Meghan finally exhales. She sits, shoulders dropping just a fraction. Not relief. Release. Her phone buzzes almost immediately. Then again. On the other side of the wall, Bill remains at his desk. Makeup artists hover, unsure if they're supposed to step in. He waves them off with a small. Meghan Markle fires back. Motion of his hand. Give me a minute, he says. He stares at the empty chair. Again. It's absurd how much space it seems to take up now. The show resumes. Technically, Bill finishes the segment. He delivers jokes written hours earlier. Lines meant for a room that feels like it existed in a different timeline. The words land flat. He notices. He adjusts. He powers through professional to the end. But the moment is already gone from the room. It's out in the world now. Before the episode even finishes airing. On the West Coast, clips start surfacing online. Someone recorded the live feed. Someone else trimmed it down to 30 seconds. Another cut isolates the moment. Meghan stands. Another loops the words. Cut her mic like a drum beat. Hashtags appear fully formed as if they were waiting for this exact moment to be born. by the time Bill signs off, the internet is already arguing. Some call it disrespect. Some call it courage. Some say Bill did what any host should do when a guest challenges the structure of the show. Others say the structure is exactly what was challenged and exposed. Meghan's team issues no statement that night. Neither does Bill. Silence becomes strategy. Whether intentional or not, at home, people replay the clip again and again. They slow it down. They watch her face when she stands. They analyze Bill's tone, his posture, the way he sets his mug down before saying the words that end it all. Was that calm? Or cold? Was that restraint or dismissal? Morning shows open with the footage. Panels argue over it with practiced outrage. One pundit says Meghan walked off because she couldn't handle tough questions. Another says Bill crossed a line by framing her presence as performance rather than perspective. Someone else says the real moment wasn't the walk-off. It was the silence before it. Social media splits cleanly down the middle. There is no consensus, only sides. Supporters of Meghan talk about power dynamics, about who controls the narrative, about what it means to speak on a platform that can silence you at will. Supporters of Bill talk about accountability, about free speech. Cutting both ways, about how walking off isn't bravery, it's avoidance. Both groups post with certainty. Neither is listening. Late night hosts joke about it carefully. Some defend Bill. Some gently mock the situation without naming names. Everyone knows better than to touch it directly. The clip is radioactive. Bill addresses it days later. Briefly, he opens his monologue with a shrug. Sometimes he says, people don't like questions. The audience laughs. Some do, some don't. Meghan appears nowhere. No interviews, no follow-up. Her silence is interpreted in a dozen contradictory ways. Strategic, petty, classy, calculated. The absence becomes its own statement. Weeks pass. The clip refuses to die. It resurfaces every time either of their names trend. For any reason, it becomes shorthand, a reference point, a moment people used to explain how they feel about celebrity, media, power, and control. And still the argument never settles because the truth is uncomfortable. Bill never raised his voice. He never insulted her directly. He maintained control of his show the way he always has. Meghan never shouted. She never accused him of anything explicitly. She simply refused to continue on terms she didn't accept. No one lost control. And that's why it unsettled everyone. There was no chaos to dismiss it as spectacle. No meltdown. Heated argument escalates live to mock. Just two people holding their ground until the space between them couldn't exist anymore. In the end, the question isn't who won, it's who had the right to end it, and whether walking away is weakness or the last form of control left. So now it comes down to you. When the cameras were rolling and the room forgot to breathe, who crossed the line, who used power and who challenged it? Drop your take in the comments. This moment wasn't meant to be forgotten. Like if you felt the tension. Subscribe if you want more stories where live television stops pretending and shows you exactly who's holding the mic. The cameras are off, but the echoes remain. The studio has emptied, the lights dimmed, yet the moment lingers. Like smoke, thin, invisible, but impossible to ignore. No one speaks of it directly, yet everyone remembers. The silence left behind is louder than words. On one side, Bill Maher sits alone at his desk in memory, composed, unshaken, still in control of a space that moments ago felt like it slipped beyond him. He delivered his words carefully, measuredly, and in doing so, reminded the world that authority often wears calmness like armor. Yet, even his mastery couldn't contain what had already fractured the narrative, the expectations, the very rhythm of the show. On the other side, Meghan Markle walked away with poise, deliberate, unflinching, leaving a vacuum that demanded interpretation. She chose agency over compliance, presence over performance. And in that choice, she exposed the invisible threads of power, respect, and control that run through every televised conversation. Silence became her voice. Departure became her statement. The aftermath is a storm that will never settle. Social media churns with debate. Pundits dissect every glance and pause. And viewers replay the walk-off endlessly, trying to assign judgment to find a winner or a loser. But there are no clear answers. There is no tidy resolution, no moral neatly tied up at the end. The tension remains unresolved, waiting in the space between control and defiance, calm and challenge. This is the thing about live television and about human confrontation. It doesn't offer conclusions. It offers moments, fleeting, yet indelible, that force the audience to choose sides, to question assumptions, to reckon with what it means to wield power or to refuse it. Who was right? Who crossed the line? And who in the end truly held control? That question, unlike the show, is still live. It waits for your answer. Comment below with your take. Like if you felt the tension. Subscribe for more moments where the curtain falls and we glimpse the human truth behind the performance.